So some of you may know me through my acting, and some of you might be a little familiar with me through the Red Light Special, an R&B podcast that allowed me to interview amazing, amazing artists. This time around, though, I'm doing things a little differently, and I'm opening my door to all creatives, whether you're an actor, producer, filmmaker, artist. If you have a story to tell, I want to hear it. I'm Kristin Coral, and this is Konversations. To kick things off for the first episode, I sat down with Mendes to talk about his upcoming tour and what inspires him as an artist. When people ask you, like, so at what age did you start
making
singing?
Music, start singing?
Or how long have you been, at what age did you know you wanted to be an artist? Like, what?
You know what's funny? Like, I'll answer those, but, like, I know eventually I'm going to get tired of hearing the same questions. Because, like, we've done radio interviews before where, like, literally you'll go to different cities and it's the same exact, like, paper questions. Like,
yeah.
And you're just like, you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
No.
Like, you have no idea what I do or anything. But, good. This is my name. This is where I'm from.
Right.
This is, whatever. But, and it's good to know because, you have different cities that might not be familiar with you.
Right.
But it's always nice to have, like, if you're going to ask those questions, then ask, like, another random one that's like, oh, that's really cool. Like, what's the dude's name with the crazy hair that does all those crazy interviews?
Nardwuar.
Yeah. Like, Nardwuar is cool, man, because he'll say some stuff that's, like, obvious, but then he'll throw some random shit at you, like, what the fuck? Like,
or he'll pull out, like, a record from, like,
yeah.
He'll have seen an interview you did from, like, I don't know, 3 years ago where you say, like, my favorite album of all time is this.
Right.
And then, like, you get Nardwuar in front of you and he'll be like,
yeah, like, you'd be like, yo, how the fuck did you know this?
Yeah, he'll pull shit out of his ass. That's what I like about him, though.
I saw the clip today about, jeez, I'm so not good with some of these new artist names. I feel bad.
There's so many of them. So
what's his name, man? Dude used to throw money in his videos all the time. Black Youngster. There we go.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he did it.
I actually really like Black Youngster.
Yeah, he's actually really good. Yo, he's really, really cool. But he did an interview with Nardwuar, and they took a viral clip of it where he's just like, how the fuck you know this? You police?
Really?
Yeah, it's mad.
I didn't know he did an Nardwuar interview.
Yeah,
I have to see that. Those are two really comedic and
really, really interesting people. Yeah,
they're characters, both of them.
But that's why I like him. You got to be a character these days, man. Like, or you have to have something at least interesting or charismatic about you,
right?
If you're gonna be an artist these days.
You know who else I like that has like you're speaking of just having a character and maybe being charismatic. Do you know of Megan Thee Stallion?
Of course.
Okay, so I'm like, I asked that and I'm like, I think everybody kind of knows who she is at this point, but it's just like, even if you're not a fan of the music, you can still appreciate just her style and authenticity and just how confident she is in herself.
Yeah.
And there's no hate. When she, like, everything that she puts out or anytime she's on the road, she's so open to other female artists.
Mm-hmm.
And she actually spoke about that recently with Joe Budden on his podcast. She was literally saying, like, I just want people to win. And anyone I'm friends with, like, I want to put them on and I just want to show love. And I think, like, there's not enough of that in this world today.
Yeah, and I feel like if you hate people like Megan for any reason, it's because you hate yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really feel like people really that say they hate her actually hate her. Because in order to hate her, you can't know her. You know what I mean? If you see the things that she's done, I saw she did the beach thing. It was like a beach cleanup.
Really?
Like I forget where, but like
charity work?
Yeah, it was like charity work, and she had all her fans come out, and it's like you can't hate on somebody that does positive things not only for the community but for the cities and the towns in the country. Like that's such a waste. Like she's really dope too. Like if you hate on her, it's because you just can't stand the fact that she's winning and you're not.
Yeah.
That's what I feel. And right now, women are winning everywhere in every single arena. And
yes.
It's really dope. It's really, really dope to see. And it's like kind of like, it's motivating actually to finally see a lot more women like stepping up and taking the roles that really are for them. You know what I mean? Like there's so many women that don't get it, that never got a chance to be on a level like Megan,
right.
or like SZA, or like Ari Lennox, or like or Rico Nasty. You know what I mean? Like there's so many really dope artists that are just killing the game right now.
Tierra Whack is another one, yeah.
Speaking of Tierra, I was talking her praises for mad long, and nobody wanted to listen to me. And I'm like, yo, you don't understand. She's like the new Missy to me.
Yeah.
She's so in her own lane and so dope and so just like. People don't understand, man. Like that's what I'm saying.
Got a different sound too.
Oh yeah,
it's
and her videos, her quality, like to be an artist these days, you got to really have like a good trifecta of like charisma. You got to have good music, obviously, but you got to also have like really great vision.
Yeah.
You know, she has really great vision, like as far as her marketing, what she stands for, who she is, like how she presents herself, like all that stuff. And it's just uniquely her. I think that shit is amazing.
Yeah, and that definitely ties into, because you talk about, not just the good music and stuff, but having that look and that vision and stuff. Social media is a huge part of anything that you do in the world today,
Yeah.
I feel. And it can be, I think, a blessing and a curse sometimes, because some of us, and I think I have a small part in this too, but some of us would just like to put out really dope content,
Right.
and not have to worry about, doing all these promo runs, or, if that's for an
Yeah.
artist more, but even
Yeah.
having to keep up with social media and posting, making sure your posts look a certain way, and catering to the public, and worrying about your followers, because there's a lot of platforms, like I know YouTube even, if you have a certain amount of followers, they'll work with you. They'll give you free space.
Oh yeah, yeah. They
And
got that YouTube space and all that
yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
so I think a lot of that is important now. Do you
think
feel the pressure of that?
Hell yeah. It's funny, like years ago, I used to be all into social media. Like every day I was posting a new picture, a new video, new something, like just trying to get my content up, trying to get the quality up. And one day I recognized that having a good social media presence is necessary, but it doesn't equate to listeners. It doesn't necessarily equate to fans. It doesn't equate to genuine people really interested in your work. If anything, the people that really mess with you will mess with you regardless of what you do. However,
Right.
in this day and age, you have to have a social media presence. It's like you can't get to the level that you want to get to unless you're like constantly there. Some people, they'll have other people running their accounts for them just so they could keep up with it, because
Right.
it's like I don't care enough about this to do it. And there is also a pressure of like, it's that FOMO thing,
Yeah.
you see people and there's like, people put up stories, people put up things of like how their life is so great and everything is amazing. And a good friend of mine told me, he was like, it's funny, like people on social media only put up their highlight reels.
Not the negative.
They never put up the negatives. And we all have negatives. And nobody ever highlights that because nobody wants to be seen in a certain light. And I think that that's the downfall of social media. It's like there needs to be more artists that are okay with like showcasing failure. Not just talking
Right.
about it, but like saying like, yeah, this didn't go as well. But you know what? I'm going to recover. People love stories.
Yes.
People like seeing people fall and get back up again and saying like, this didn't break me. You know what I
Right.
mean? A lot of people are scared to like show their face because of the hatred that they'll get, or just being disrespected by people, or some people also take social media way too seriously.
Right.
And you have those people like the shade room commenters and stuff like that.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yo,
yes,
it's like,
yes. They'll attack you to
oh
like
my
at the
God,
theater.
yo,
Yeah.
and they don't even know you. Like, and that's
Right.
the crazy thing. It's like, don't get me wrong. Like, sometimes it's very funny. Like, I everybody wants to get that top comment. You know what I mean? To like try to make somebody feel bad. But you forget sometimes, like, yo, these people are like actual people.
Yeah.
That like still have feelings and still get hurt. I think one thing that took me away from social media for a little bit was we did a song. I did a song with my homie John called Guillotine. And a few years ago, it was like, it's a pretty popping song.
One of my favorites.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
thank
I absolutely love that song. That whole album is
you. Crazy.
probably my favorite of his too. He puts out a lot of music, but yeah.
He did a lot of great work on that one. But yeah, we put up the video from it, and I've also, at the time, like I was kind of going through like a lot of just different life things, depression and a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Put up the video, went well, and one day I was like, you know what? I'm curious to see the comments. Should never have.
On where? On
On
YouTube?
YouTube, yeah. Oh my
But really,
God.
people had negative things to say about it?
A few. And it wasn't everybody, but it's like that other thing too. Like you could have like 99 people that say amazing things about you, but that one person that says something negative, it's like it just seeds into your like,
Yeah.
your brain. So like there was somebody that said something like just some wild, just like for what kind of situation.
Yeah.
And I think it just sat with me for a while, and I was just like, yo, like that's some deep dark shit. But then I had to remember, I was like, yo, they went out their way
Right.
Like it irked them so much that like I was on a video that they weren't a part of, that they had to say something. And so it kind of made me feel better because it's like I also like I kind of like that. I kind of
Yeah.
like the hey, I like the fact that like okay, I get you out of your bed every morning pissed off at the world.
Yeah, but you know what I also tie that down to? It's like number one, they're paying attention.
Right.
So that's one. You know, they're viewing your work.
Yeah.
They're paying attention to it and enough to dissect it, whether it's good or bad. And two, oftentimes that comes from insecurities within self.
Yeah.
So
It's the same FOMO thing. But
Yeah.
that going back to the whole social media thing, that's why I feel like if more people, not necessarily artists, just influencers in general, showcase like, hey, this is something I do for my business, but this isn't me all the time.
Right.
Or this is like just a portion of who I am. Then they can kind of get a better sense of like, oh, okay, like this person is a genuine person. They're not trying to be out here just to get likes or just to get favorites. We all want likes.
Right.
Like, regardless, we all want to be seen. We all want everybody to acknowledge us. But if you're genuine about the way that you approach it, I feel like that changes everything.
Yeah, definitely. And I also, we kind of spoke about this the other day, but we were talking about how different things used to be back in the day when artists were kind of like unreachable
Oh yeah.
and unattainable, even
Mysterious.
to like, yeah, it was a sense of mystery that you couldn't conversate through an Instagram comment with an artist back in the day. There was no Instagram or, you know,
Yeah, you didn't have access to people
No.
that easily. You
No.
know? And there was, I guess that's like, in some ways that's good, in some ways that's bad, because it also, you know, produced a lot of assholes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because people felt like they were holier than thou and that they couldn't be reached. But at the same time, it gave you a sense of privacy. You know, social media doesn't really allow you to be private anymore.
No.
And for me personally, I think that's another reason why I kind of was straying away from it for a bit, because I like privacy.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be mysterious, but I like being able to just do my thing and go home.
Yeah.
You know, or like do my thing and just go chill with my homies, or like, you know, just be myself in my own area. Like I don't want to have to always feel like I have to be on. You know what I mean?
Does that ever scare you with I mean it's a long road to success if you ever even really get there, because you know with creatives it's like you have a milestone that you reach and then you're like, now what? What's
Yeah.
the next thing? So we're always looking for the next thing to do or the next step to take. So I say, you know, when you reach success, but you really never feel like you really reach it. But does that ever scare you, becoming bigger and bigger by the day and having to worry about stuff like that, always having eyes on you and what you post or what you talk about?
It used to, but I think now I have a different mindset about it. It's kind of like it's the same idea of trying to reach perfection, right? There's no such thing.
Right.
So it's like if your goal is to be the best or to reach that level, you're gonna be very disappointed because you're just always gonna be working. It never ends. You know, you get to a level, and I remember when I was just trying to be like, oh man, I can't wait till I could like sell out SOBs. And then like we sold out SOBs. And
Right,
it's like,
check.
oh man, I can't wait till like I could do festivals. And then we did festivals. Oh man, I can't wait till we could like rock out arenas. And then we rocked out arenas.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you just never, there's never a time where like you're like, okay, I'm content now.
Yeah.
You know, it's always like, well, now I need to do this and do that. And then sometimes it's not even like a big thing. Sometimes it's like, I need to learn how to play guitar so I could like be this and like I could do this here and then. And it's good to set goals, but I think trying to attain bigger and better, you should aim for it, but understand that like it never will exist.
Yeah.
You should be curious, you know, and I think that's how I am now. I'm just curious now. I'm not like with a set like, oh, I need to hit like 100,000 everywhere all the time and then like reach. I'm like, I just want to be better, and whatever makes me better is what I'm paying attention to. If I'm learning guitar now to be a better musician,
Right.
I'm writing more so I can be a better artist. I am, you know, in the gym a lot more now so that I can be at my optimal level.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not about trying to reach this like, oh, I have to get, you know, because I've seen that shit destroy people.
It does.
You know?
I think it also just becomes something of, you know, our brain just never taking a break, which is why in acting, we talk about this a lot. Like sometimes you have to step away from the work
Yeah.
and just live.
Yeah.
Because you have to experience in order to put that into your work
Oh,
in a
yeah.
sense. So I think that's part of just, mental health, which is
For
a
sure.
huge thing nowadays. One of the people that I really love that touches on mental health so much is Charlemagne. And I think with artists, you were talking about being okay with putting out your negatives. So with vulnerability, do you your songs, if people aren't really familiar too much, they're very like personal,
Yeah.
and
They
you
are
can get
very
a little
personal.
deep in your songs.
Sometimes I get a little extra, and yes, it has like affected a lot of my life.
Does that ever get scary to put out though? Like do you write and ever kind of just like, nah, I'm not gonna say that. Like that's too much, or somebody may get offended by this if it was like a
Yeah.
personal experience.
That has definitely happened. I remember there's a few songs that I put out that were followed by a lot of
Upset texts.
oh yeah, a lot of upset texts, a lot of like no talking anymore, a lot of like how could you say that? People don't know how, whatever. But at the end of the day, as an artist, what else am I supposed to do?
Right.
Like my whole point is to relate.
Yeah.
Like we all go through crazy shit.
Yeah.
So it's like if I'm trying to make some crazy vague thing that means nothing to anybody, you're not gonna really respect it, It was a lot of people say this and it's very cliche, but like I was using music as like therapy for a long time.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
But so do we as listeners.
Right.
That's our
exactly.
therapy. So
Yeah,
we hope that an artist like you will come out and say the things that we're too afraid to say.
Yeah, and it's like, there's that level of vulnerability that comes with like just being like, hey, this is how I feel right now. You may not agree with it, but this is how I feel right now. And because I'm on a mic, people are going to hear it, I wrote a song a little while ago. I'm going to be blowing the spots with this, okay. I wrote a song a while ago called...
Not out yet?
Well, it's out, but
okay.
I'm not going to mention any names. But
okay. Go for it.
Put a song out called Do Over, and that was based on a completely real situation. And it was very awkward because it's like you have to go through those situations in order to write it, and then it just so happens that it just becomes a great situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People have a better understanding of like being okay with things once they see like, okay, at least like I didn't go through this in vain. Like this is what it was for.
Right.
And then sometimes you'll still offend people. Like I have a song coming out called Nevada, where you like Nevada?
Yo, yeah. Nevada is gonna blow everyone's mind when it comes out. Yeah. It's amazing. Talk about Nevada.
So Nevada was pretty much a song that I wrote kind of dealing with like, or coping with the pressures of like labels and society. Like I kind of talk about, I use Nevada as like a euphemism for hell.
Okay.
Pretty much. And it's like me meeting with the devil for the first time and just kind of, the devil was giving me like two options. It's like, yo, if you ride with me, I'll make you famous. If you don't, then you're going to fail.
Yeah.
So the first time around, I say, no, I don't want to do that. And I end up failing. Right before like everything ends, the devil comes back and is like, yo, I told you, you need to ride with me. And then I rode with him and I still failed. It's like, I have a lot of artist friends, especially in LA, that like, we go through those issues all the time where you're trying to be genuine, but then you get caught up with trying to be this thing that like everybody wants you to be. And you'll go and you'll get, your face redone and veneers done in, or some girls, they get the butt implants, you know what I'm saying? And
a lot of them.
Yeah, and like they become this person that they're really not. And then when they finally do it and they think that they're going to get the recognition they deserve and it doesn't work out the same way, now they're just stuck, being this thing and having these alterations done to them that they never even really wanted, you know? It kind of sucks. So it's kind of like Nevada was an ode of like, just be yourself regardless. It doesn't matter. Even if you fail your way.
Right.
Don't fail because everybody else told you to do it. Fail because you did what you wanted to do and you did it to the best of your ability.
Not giving into temptations and stuff.
You know
what? I look at that also though as like a lot of people take the shortcut.
Oh yeah.
right? So a lot of people will take the shortcut. Do you feel like you're going to stay true to self and independent? Are you interested in record labels at all? Or because I know everybody's view on that is changing now with, owning the rights to their masters and
Yeah.
staying independent and making your own
You
money.
need to, honestly. I think what people need to do before they even discuss that is they need to learn about the business. A lot of artists say they want to be independent but don't really understand what it takes to truly be independent. When you're independent, you still have to run things like a label. And
Yeah.
if you don't know how a label runs, you won't understand PR, you won't understand marketing, you won't understand budgets, you won't understand time scheduling, you won't understand, like social media content, imagery, like your shows, all this stuff is like very vital. So, people say like they want to stay independent, but when you think about it from a monetary standpoint, you have to put in so much, you know what I mean, to like even try to get a little bit back. And then you have to keep doing it on a consistent basis. It could run you down if you're not smart. You need a good team of people. Thank God I have some of the most talented, amazing friends.
You really do.
I really do. And I'm truly, truly, truly honored and blessed like every single day, man. It says a lot, that people want you around, but it says even more when they want to work just as hard, if not harder than you.
Right.
And so we all have the same mindset of like we want to make great music. We just want to be acknowledged for the talent that we have and the drive that we put into it, and just make money from it. You know what I mean? It takes a while.
It's also very hard to come by. And speaking of having a good support system and friends, I want to go a little bit back to how you collaborated with John Bellion, because that has been
Yeah.
something that, I think, in my personal view, a lot of people can kind of like say they kind of find out about you that way.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So just
Yeah.
speak about how that came about.
So we met in college. Back when I was in college, a lot of the guys actually that are in the band right now, we used to have a alternative soul like rock group back in the day, and we got really
Back.
yeah, way back in the day, and we got really popular on campus. It became a thing where like just anytime there was a show, it was like, oh, we got to get BTP there, blah blah whatever, and I think this was when I was a junior in college.
What, before you keep
Oh,
going,
yeah.
what does the BTP stand for? Because it's part of your Instagram name.
Yeah, so it stood for Beyond This Point. That was the name of the band.
Okay.
And as the name suggests, like we heralded ourselves at the time as like being beyond everything that was around us and being like to the next upper echelon kind of thing or whatever. But it's just smoke up the ass kind of shit. But
Makes sense.
yeah, like when I was a junior in college, John came in as a freshman, and they have this like freshman orientation thing, right? So, you go in and I got a couple friends. It's like, yo, you need to meet this dude John, man. He's like Drake, yo. Like he could like rap,
Okay.
he could sing, and yo, he makes beats, and yo, he's wild. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I'm like not trying to like give into the hype or whatever.
Right.
We do a show there, and that's the first time he ever saw us do a show. But we still didn't meet each other. We just, saw. So literally I'd say like 5-6 months go by. We're talking, we have mutual friends that know us that are saying like, yo, you need to meet this band, yo, you need to meet John, yo, you need to meet,
Right.
never did. And one day we're in the cafeteria, and literally it was like on some cliche bullshit, I swear to you, walking from opposite ends of the room all the way through, we bump into each other, we're like, yo, are you John? Yeah. Yo, you're in BTP, right? Yeah. Yo, I heard a lot about you. Yeah, me too. You want to go to the dorm and listen to beats?
Word.
Yeah, sure, why not?
That's crazy.
Went straight to the dorm room, listened to a couple of beats, and I was like blown away. And I was like, yo, you need to meet my homie Marlon, man. Like, yo, like this dude is like nasty about, They meet up. We all started collabing, and the rest is history. My apologies about this. Everybody.
No, it's all good. That's crazy. I didn't know it went that far back, because you said you went to college out in
Dix Hills.
Right.
Dix Hill. We would usually say the name, but we
All good.
Got
We
a
don't have
little bit
to.
of
Yeah,
bad
yeah, no,
blood.
it's all good. Well, at least we know where we're all seated from, but
Yeah,
that makes sense
yeah.
because John is also from Long Island.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
you
So
know,
that's how we kind of met up, and then we just kept, we kept in touch with each other for years. We ended up graduating. He ended up leaving the school, because he just started getting like better opportunities.
right.
A couple years passed by, and at this point, funny enough, the band had like broken up. We had like stopped talking to each other. It was like it was a
Just
whole mess.
naturally, or there was a whole fiasco?
It was a
A little bit
fiasco.
of both.
A little bit of
Gotcha.
both. But John hits us up out of nowhere. He remembered how crazy our shows were and the energy that we brought and the feeling that we had through the music. And it was just like, yo, like I don't know if y'all would be down, but like would y'all want to like collab and like, work on some stuff? I got this like deal coming up and blah blah blah. And we was just like, yeah,
Sure.
fuck it, why not? Yeah. So we had to get back on the phone with everybody that we haven't talked to and just be like, yo, man, suck it up.
Was everybody kind of already doing stuff, or was everybody kind of still in the place where they were like, hell yeah? Like,
Yeah, like most people were like, hell yeah. Like, yeah, I had like one friend that was with the original band that ended up not being able to be with us because he had his own like personal situation going on.
right.
But yeah, everybody else at that point was just like, pfft. We've done shows for like at that point, we had done shows for like maybe 200 people, and the last show I think we did, there was like 3 people that came out.
Really?
Yeah, it was so embarrassing. It was just like, like literally, and it was 3 people from like our school, and we were just like, screw it, like let's just play whatever.
That's funny.
So
We all start somewhere.
yeah, so at that point we were like, hey, like he got a little buzz, like why not? Like let's do it. Completely underestimated the buzz that he had.
Yeah.
Did not know it was like that. So once we did the shows, like we kind of, we always like collabed on music,
Right.
but it wasn't like to that extent. After that, it was just like, yo, we gotta take this seriously now. Like this is like something now, and kind of blew up.
So when was the first time? Because I know the tour.
Mm-hmm.
You're about to hit the road for how long? For
So
what feels like forever. But.
yeah, like so the domestic one we're doing is gonna be 2.5 months, and then we go to Europe for a month, and then we go to Australia for like 2 weeks, and then we're doing a couple private shows in between, like when we're on and off, but I don't know where else we're going yet. But I'm hearing things that I can't talk about yet. So
Gotcha.
we'll
So
see.
you're right now you're about to leave this week?
Yeah, we're literally starting Philly next Wednesday, and we start production rehearsals on Monday and stuff. So
And when do you come back?
August.
August.
Yeah, mid-August.
Jeez.
And then I'm here for like until September, and then we go out from September, then I come back mid-October. Then I'm here for a little bit, then we leave in November. And so it's just like
Off
bouncing.
and on,
Yeah,
just
it's
here and there.
bouncing,
Does that ever
yeah.
get, I don't think a lot of people understand what tour life exactly is about, but being on the
Yeah.
road, having to make sure you're packed for that long, and being away from home, being away from family, loved ones, does that ever get like really hard for you, or are you kind of just like in the mentality where it's like go time?
It's always hard. It's never easy to have to, especially when you get accustomed to being around. It's hard to be like, hey, everybody, I'm not going to be here anymore, or at least for a little bit. The last time we went on tour, I think, was one of the hardest ones because we technically were touring for about a year and a half straight. And
That's a long time.
it was a very long time. I mean, we would come back, every couple months or so, but it was really rough. And you kind of see a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of people that are on tours don't even talk about it, but you can see the decline sometimes in your family and in your loved ones. Me not being around, I think had more of a detrimental effect on them than it did for me.
Yeah.
And so, every time you're living a dream, you're doing a bunch of shows, you're doing arenas, your face on Jumbotron, and then you come home and then everything is all fucked up at home.
Yeah.
And then it's like you're in this like midway position where it's like you can help, but you can't help too much because
Right.
you got so many other things going on. So it becomes a bit taxing,
Well, it's also that your mind is occupied on something.
So much,
You don't
so many
realize
other
with
things.
people who are home and don't necessarily they're not familiar with that kind of lifestyle, because it is definitely a
It's
lifestyle.
a different lifestyle, and and you have friends that like they root for you when you are getting on, and then once you're on, they're not really, because they're going through their own thing too. They don't have the same opportunities as you, so like I have a lot of musician friends that like would die to be on the tour. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? To even have an opportunity that are just like struggling to make ends meet. So you come back home and you're just like, hey, what's up? And they're like, they don't look at you the same way. They're like,
Right.
you're not dealing with what I got to go through. So there's a back and forth. A lot of times, I think I've kind of just gotten into a mentality of self perseverance and self motivation and and just really pushing myself like as best as I can to one, not depend on as many people as I need to, but also to be a lending ear and a lending hand when I can. And it takes a lot of like discipline in
It
order to do it.
does.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, because you're, the minute I met you, it's just like, you reek like humbleness. And I'm
Thank
just
you.
like, I know you'll keep that and stuff, but it's very hard just because, you know, our minds, like I always say, I always go back to this, but our minds are so busy, and it's very easy to forget that people are just people at the end of the day,
Right.
and you kind of forget to like check on your peers, or even just say like,
Yeah.
hey, how you doing? Hey, it's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that you have the blessing of saying that your friends are also in the industry. Talk a little bit about Hudson Valley, because I've heard some really, 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 really
Man,
good things.
yo,
So
Hudson Valley is like one of the greatest things that I think could have happened to me, and I'm sure I'm sure the guys would say the same.
who's a part of Hudson Valley?
Hudson Valley is YS, J Bell, Mylon, and myself. Mylon and I have collaborated literally at this point for a decade straight.
Yeah.
Like that's my brother from another. YS and J Bell have also collaborated separately, like just for years, and kind of like built a rapport with each other, and we always had a mutual respect for one another. Never really got a chance like for years to like sit down and actually do something, and then now we finally were able to like kind of just start writing songs and making stuff together. We just were doing it for the love. Like we weren't doing it to like necessarily like, oh, let's go make like records that are gonna like hit Billboard or whatever. We were just like, we just really fuck with each other
Yeah.
and just love like collabing. So we made a bunch of records, and then we were sitting one day and we was just like, yo, like we should probably start putting some of this out. Like this is actually pretty fire. We started showing it to other people, and people were losing it. Because
Yeah.
I think a lot of times when you do things at a different in a different caliber or a different level, you don't necessarily think about how good it is. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like you're kind of looking at it as, we just, like I dig it.
It's what you do.
It's what you do. Like,
Yeah.
but then you let other people hear it, and you're like, oh shit, I guess this is like really something, huh? Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah.
So, Hudson Valley was created. It was the brainchild of YS and J Bell, and we just kind of like just make really cool, interesting, experimental stuff that like we would fuck with and listen to. That it's just us.
So when I hear Hudson Valley, it's just an entirely different sound, and just knowing YS and his musical ear, which is literally genius. He's into a very different kind of sound. He listens to a lot of jazz. I know you guys, the music you make, it sounds like absolutely nothing that I hear on the radio. I would say honestly, the closest thing I can, and I don't like comparing, but it's a compliment because I am a huge fan of Joe K and Selection.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. And I feel like,
sure.
that's one of the places I can go to and just find music that sounds like nothing else, that you won't
Yeah.
get that anywhere else. And I feel like Hudson Valley, your music, even with John, the music that he makes, like it's just such a different sound.
It's funny you say that. John always mentions left of center. Like that's his big thing. Everything is left of center. Everything is very like experimental, not what you would expect. And I think I guess like we kind of pride ourselves on making something that just stands out, that's unique. I was an awkward kid growing up, right? So for me, everything I do is a little awkward,
Yeah.
and I think like it was only natural that the music that I would make that speaks to me is a little awkward too. And
Right.
so it just so happens that as we collaborated with more people, we just found more people that were really interested in the same kind of things that we were into. YS is really heavy into jazz, and there is a large jazz background in what we do, but we listen to literally everything.
Yeah.
Like people say, like, yo, I listen to everything, but like I could pull up like some rare soul funk from the 70s that nobody's heard. I could pull
Right.
up some like Nigerian rock from like 1984 that nobody's listened to. I could pull up some like unreleased Marvin Gaye from like 1964 that like nobody's heard before. And like that's the kind of stuff that we listen to that like inspires us to make stuff. And we're also really heavy on like like the Soulquarian vibes and
Yeah.
Dilla and D'Angelo. And D'Angelo's like literally an icon to me. But, and Madlib and all those guys too.
Man,
But
Madlib is classic.
yeah, but I think what we like to do as well is it's not just about the artists we listen to, it's why they make the things they make. And what that ended up like manifesting was researching the artists that they were influenced by.
Right.
And so then it becomes more of like a constant sense of learning. I think what also like separates us from a lot of people too is we're students. I'm constantly trying to learn. Like I don't ever feel the whole perfection thing that we're talking about. There's no such thing to me because every single era that's come up was striving to make something different and unique, but did it in their own way, and they were still influenced by the previous generation.
Right.
So it's like there's always something to listen back to gain more perspective on that influences you today.
Right.
And there's so much music that people don't even pay attention to that could literally make everything sound so different that
Yep.
but they just don't, try. So Hudson Valley is like an amalgamation of just really great taste and just really great influences.
Yeah.
Like without the Dillas, without the Madlibs, without the George Dukes, without the Erykah Badu's, without the Missies, without the Timbos, without even the Kanyes, the Jays, the Beyonces, even like without them, we wouldn't be able to make what we make.
Yeah. And I
So,
think a lot of it also is like you talk about going back to soul and the 70s and all of that. And like I have like a really big tendency to always hear something and I'm like, I know that beat from somewhere. Or like I'll hear the tune from somewhere. And I think
Yeah.
sampling is even though it can be tricky because the rights issues and all
Oh,
that, is that something that you kind of like stay away from for that reason or
yes and no. Yeah, because like at the end of the day, like you don't really want to sample if you don't have to.
right.
But I can't even front like sampling is so fire when you find somebody that could like really flip some shit crazy.
If you can do it right.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
yo, it's like I don't know what it is, but it's just like something about it just like speaks to you. And Dilla, right? Speaking about Dilla, like that was like one of the heaviest influences on all of us.
Legendary.
John, yeah, like everybody. And when Donuts came out, that was my first time I ever heard Dilla. That was like what, 06? And I heard Two Can Win. And it was on somebody's MySpace page. Some shit like
Oh my
that.
god.
And I
When
was just like,
MySpace was a thing.
yeah, I was like, yo, what is this? Like, yo, this is crazy. And at the time, I wanted to be a rapper. So I was just like,
Hey.
oh, yo, like, yo, I'm gonna spit on this. And then I kind of started listening to the whole album, and I was just like, yo, what the fuck is this? Like, this is crazy. I've never heard anybody flip anything like that before,
Yeah.
up to that point. And when I went to college, when I met Marlon, he was heavy into Dilla too.
Nice.
And we kind of just like ended up like really starting a whole friendship about it. It was like something about sampling when you have the right people doing it can be so satisfying and so
Yeah.
gratifying. And I think like when I started production, I started sampling too, right? Because I wanted to flip and I wanted to like do things that made me feel more interesting. And what it ended up doing was it actually made me a better songwriter.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, you write all your songs, right?
I write everything. Yeah, I write everything. I try to produce a lot, but I'm not in any way, shape, or form in the level that YS or Marlon is at. But I think, yeah, it made me a better songwriter because it gave me a better viewpoint and a better understanding of how the songs are created. When you're listening to so much music, you're really starting to take in like form. You're
Right.
starting to take in sounds, sonics, why the guitar was tuned this way, why the drummer played this pocket, why the bass man had to like go around this, why the singer sang this line exactly the way they did for this recording, and nowhere else is it like this. You pay attention to those things because you recognize the importance of it, and it kind of helps your sampling. So like there might be a point where somebody does something like some weird stuff, and that might be the highlight of the whole sample,
Yeah.
right? And then you make a whole song based off of the highlight that it gave you.
Yeah.
So it's like it's important. Like those things kind of help me shape my artistry a lot.
Yeah, and I kind of hear in the way that you kind of layer your songs, and even like the ad libs and the vocals are very. I think when a song has, like you were saying, like a certain weird pocket or something, and then it's like, but that stands out. And then especially with sampling, when you hear it again, that's the beauty of it for me, is because you hear it and you're like, oh man, they got that from, what's that song again?
Yeah.
And you start to think and you're like, oh, that's right, it was this. And I think that's beautiful, because that's kind of paying homage to like everyone who came before you. Which,
I think there's a weird idea that people have about sampling where they feel like it's disrespectful.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, this is people paying homage. Like this is people really saying like, yo, well, if your heart is in the right place. I can't speak on everybody.
Right.
But
because sometimes you hear a sample and you're like,
sometimes what I don't like about sampling in the modern age right now are the people that like they don't even try to flip it. They just literally take a song that was popular and then just redo it. I think that's like the cheesiest, wackest, like most blatant disrespect that you could ever put on a song. Because it's like, all right, you made this hot, so 20 years later, I'm going to do exactly what you did to the T, and I'm going to make it hot again. But I'm not going to give you any credit, though, because somehow this is all me.
Right.
That's like some bullshit that I like. Yo, artists that do that shit, I don't fuck with them for that shit.
You know what's crazy? I'm gonna probably get called out on this. I don't care. If Scarlett's here today, by the way, guys. My right hand, my girl. I don't know if I'm gonna be. So Khaled just dropped a project.
That's crazy. All right, okay. You know what's funny? I was getting my hair done yesterday, and literally, like, when I was talking to the lady I was doing it, she was like, "Did you listen to that Khaled album?" I was like, "Nah, not yet." But she was just like, "I think you should listen to that album. I'm curious to hear your opinion on it." I'm like, "Yeah, that's like I keep hearing things, right?" So she played the SZA song.
Okay, so that's where I was going with that.
Going with it?
So you did hear it.
I heard that song. I didn't hear the full project, but I heard that song.
Okay, so I won't have you throw anyone under the bus, but so you heard the sampling. Is that kind of like?
So okay, yeah, I see what you're saying.
I'm
like
walking on eggshells. I'm gonna go out and say it because I don't. It's my opinion,
it's trash.
But yeah, I honestly feel like nothing was changed. Like
no, it wasn't.
Nothing was changed, and that's why when you said that about like people who just take it and then just like don't even twist it up or sampling to me honestly is like if you can take a certain range or part of a song and put it into your song but still change it so that you can hear it, you can hear the cadence, but it's your own. That's a beautiful way of sampling a song. But if you just take the whole thing and just
it was a great way at speaking of sampling, and this is like because I love SZA. So it had nothing to do with SZA.
Actually, hers is the best part of the song.
Right. So like I just want to put that out there. I fucking love SZA.
Yes, like.
But on SZA's Control album, shout out to my homie Cam Obi. It was fucking phenomenal. Doves in the Wind.
Oh yeah.
So that's the right way to sample.
Yes.
If you're gonna sample something and you're gonna do something like that, that's how you should do it. Because Doves in the Wind was a beautiful record.
Yes.
And unexpected, whole album was great. Unexpected, I would have never thought SZA would get on a track like that and go off the way she did. Like I'm just everything about it was fucking incredible. But that sample was from an old Busta Rhymes album, which was also done by Dilla.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that's paying homage in the right way of like, okay, this is a sample, but like, yo, look how you flipped this shit and made it dope.
Some people may not even know it or pick up on it.
Right. And honestly, it's not for everybody to know. Because, like, when you think about, like, the industry and the business, like, only musicians and people that care about musicians are concerned about stuff like that. The average consumer doesn't really care. You know what I mean? And I get that, you know. So it's no shade to Khaled either, you know, because at the end of the day, he's trying to make money. But that's why it didn't get number one.
Hey. But yeah, that whole sampling thing, that's, and again, it's not to throw shade, it's not to throw anyone
Yeah,
under
it's
the
not
bus,
to
but
throw
I
anyone
just
under the bus,
personally
but
did
I
not
get it.
like the record.
Yeah.
And I heard it, and immediately I was like, this is not done right. Like, there's, especially coming from Khaled, like, there are certain things that play into, he does a lot. So I know sometimes, but that's where, that's where I'm like, I appreciate when, like, Rico Love, for example, we had Rico Love when I did the podcast, and
Nice.
he's a person that specifically emphasizes don't rush things. Like, don't rush throwing a title on a song.
100%.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, have a reason behind it. Don't rush the sequencing of the album. Don't rush what's going to make the album and what you're going to cut, because that's your baby. Like, you have to treat it as such. And
For sure.
I know you're about to go on tour with John Bellion, but what do you have coming up?
So we got this EP finally that we've been working on for like mad long now. It's supposed to be dumb out. We had to do a lot of changes. Obviously, we were building this whole space for like a good 7-8 months, so this took up a lot of time, and just life stuff too just happening.
Yeah.
But we have the EP coming out. I have another secret tape coming out because we got a whole another thing that's coming out, and then we got more.
Just yours, or
yeah. So
okay.
So we have this thing. I don't even know if I'm supposed to be talking about this right now, but I'm gonna say it. We got this thing called HV Smugglers, and basically it's kind of like, it's like a guerrilla version of what we do. It's like, if you really fuck with music, like you really, really fuck with music, this is the shit that's like just some other level shit. Like
right.
we kind of tread the line of like being able to do the more commercial pop stuff, but also I like doing the gritty, weird, like experimental
it's very
shit.
Gritty underground, kind of like.
Yeah, exactly. So like that's what the Smugglers joined us for. So we got a Smugglers project coming out for me really soon too. That's like so fucking crazy. I love that project.
Fire.
Then we got new HV stuff coming out. We're about to start working on J Bell's project, which he just dropped. I gotta say this, one of the most eclectic rap albums of the year. And I'm not saying that because I know him. I'm saying that because if you're really truly a fan of like hip hop, like real hip hop,
right,
the shit is incredible. It's called Forward. If you get a chance to listen to it, listen to that shit, because I swear to you, if you tell me that you listened to it and you didn't fuck with it, you're a liar.
Or you're just trash.
Your
taste is trash.
Yeah.
No, I've heard a couple of J Bell's things, and they're definitely, it took me by surprise. So Forward,
and then and working on J Bell stuff, and just obviously working on John stuff. John just released some acoustics that I did with him for some of the albums from Glory Sound Prep, Stupid Deep and Blue, and I forget the last one right now. But we got a lot more collaborations coming up with that. There might be a few big things on the table that like I said, I can't talk about yet, that I'm really excited about if it happens.
Are you working on the album?
Oh yeah,
solo album. It's gonna be like, have you dropped? You haven't really dropped like a full length.
I haven't dropped a lot of. That's the funny thing, right?
Yeah.
I haven't dropped a lot of music, mainly because I wanted to test out things. I wanted to see, because I can write a lot, you know, and I write to like everything. So I wanted to see like what people wanted to hear at first. But now I'm just on some like, I just want to make some shit.
Yeah, and you are. Yeah. I cannot wait personally. Like, I am so excited for you to drop everything that you have, in the works, just because it's a different sound. You're talented. You're a great songwriter. You pour your heart and soul into all your music. And I'm still learning about you. So, I appreciate you taking the time to even come here and sit and share your knowledge and your energy. And it's things that, I can't ask for more. Your time and your energy, those are very valuable. So I know you're busy.
Yeah.
You're in rehearsals right
now. I'm
now.
literally about to
So we are going to wrap this. Just let everybody know where they can find you.
So you can find me on Spotify, obviously, every streaming site, Apple Music. Just look for Travis Mendes. I'm on IG, Travis BTP, like Beyond This Point.
Right.
Also on Twitter as Travis BTP. And literally, hopefully, you'll hear me on a bunch of radio and everything soon. So
if the ears are right,
if the ears are right,
it'll happen. We'll speak it into existence.
That's
so
that's what we gotta do.
For sure.
Know? So yeah.
Yeah. All right. And do you have a date for the album?
So not yet, but very soon. Before we head back out on the next tour, we're looking to have it out. Everything's in mastering right now. So like the music is done. Nice. We're just trying to like make sure that it's like given to you in a way that like is presentable and not just throw it out for like everybody.
And tie the loose ends.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Well, shout out to you.
Thank
Shout out
you.
to YS for sure.
Shout
putting
out
this
to
all
YS.
together.
The genius.
The Vamp, Hudson Valley. Shout out to
Everything.
Jay. Listen to Jay Bell's work.
Listen to
it's
Jay
good.
Bell's work. It's so good.
Yeah.
Man. So good.
All right. Well, thank you. Seriously.
you. I
I'm excited to
appreciate
see
you.
everything they're going to have come out.
Oh, yeah, nah. It's going to be a flood.
Yeah.
Once it comes out, it's just never going to stop. So it's going to be crazy.
I know it. Trust me. I know it. I know it. Thank you.
Mhm.